Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wellness Revolution. Of course, I'm Doc G. I am the owner of Hamilton Radio Media LLC. And tonight we have the Wellness Revolution with Dr. Robert Wiedemann and Marvin Robb. It's July 6, 2026, and this show is for information and educational purposes as well, or maybe not be. Let's go. Here we go, guys. Welcome to your show.
Yeah, good evening, everybody, and I hope you had a good 4th of July. This is quite a year, the 250th anniversary of our country and the freedoms we have, and we're exercising the First Amendment to the Constitution, which is the freedom of speech. All right? And tonight, I thought it would be good to talk about one of Youngevity's foundational products, and it's called Herbal Rainforest. And Marvin, I hope you have Dr. Wallach's book handy, Rarest Forbidden Cures.
We can pull it up.
Okay. Because we're gonna kind of I made up a brochure, and we're gonna go through that brochure tonight.
Here it is. What do you need?
Okay, so what I want to do here.
You want to play peekaboo?
Yeah, just a moment here.
Let's go. Actually, let's go to. I can pull up the video, introductory video, why he wrote the Rarest Forbidden Cures.
Yeah. Go ahead and pull that video up.
Let's pull that video up and let's see. Books rares. So let me go back to share the screen here. And then we'll watch that video, why he wrote that book. It's really profound. Now, we saw that the other day, didn't we? Last time, didn't we? We played it last time?
I don't know.
The picture on the book here, if you look on this, the cover of the book, I kind of explain a little bit about what the cover of the book means and how you came about this book, Rarest Forbidden Cures.
Well, Rare Earths Forbidden Cures is speaking about the trace minerals called rare earths. There's a category of trace minerals called rare earths. Mm-hmm. And these rare earths in laboratory animals double the lifespans of laboratory animals compared to the control group without the rare earths in their food. So when you look at the top 20 longevity cultures, when you look at them critically, look at where they live, analyze the soil, analyze their hair, analyze their diets, they actually have more rare earths than the people who don't live as long, just like the laboratory animals, just like the pet animals. And of course, I found the first non-human case of cystic fibrosis. I'm sure it happened many, many times before. Nobody recognized it. I put 2 and 2 together and knew that it was a cystic fibrosis, tracked it down to a deficiency of a single mineral, selenium. And I could reverse it. Even I could reverse the genetic marker, which they call the sweat test. A positive sweat test says you have cystic fibrosis. But there's also 17 other diseases that give a positive sweat test that had nothing to do in any way, shape, or form to cystic fibrosis. So I knew that it couldn't be a genetic disease. I got fired over that one because I said it's not genetic. Well, I was flying in the face of a mountain of scientific theory, and these people were experts in misinformation. That's what it amounted to. They were experts in misinformation. So they fired me to protect their 40 years of expertise in misinformation. Well, I was working in China in 1989, doing these 1,700 autopsies because there's a disease in Qishan province called Qishan disease, cardiomyopathy heart disease, where the kids will die before they're 10 years old of a cardiomyopathy heart attack. And it's known that it's caused by a deficiency of selenium. So I reasoned that if that's correct, there's bound to be some of these kids dying of cystic fibrosis, or at least had cystic fibrosis, and they were dying of cardiomyopathy and heart disease. It turns out when I did the autopsies, 35%, 595 of the 1,700 had cystic fibrosis. Their pancreas, their liver, the lungs. And not only did we have the autopsies, not only do we have the microscopic slides from the light microscope, but I was using, at that point, I was using the electron microscope. And there's inclusion bodies in the liver of kids with cystic fibrosis. These inclusion bodies are little lucent bodies inside the nucleuses of the cells of the liver of children and these monkeys with cystic fibrosis. And I wanted to see if these kids with Keyshawn disease, they did in fact have these same lucent bodies called inclusion bodies in the livers. And we looked at them underneath the electron microscope. Instead of magnifying it, say 300 times, which is where you would see these little lucent bodies in the nucleuses, now you can see inside the mitochondria, I mean, substructures inside of cells, inside of nucleuses, you can actually see the structure of these inclusion bodies. And that's what that is. It's 126,000 magnifications instead of 300 magnifications. So again, I'm working in a world where nobody else had ever looked.
Right.
Because I had access to that machinery at that time. Very few people had access to electron microscopes. Because I was involved with the Center for the Biology of Natural Systems, my book was in the Smithsonian Institute. And so I had access to this stuff. It turns out that the inclusion bodies were the internal lining, the inside lining of the mitochondria, which is a bilayered membrane. It has 2 layers. And the internal layer would precipitate out because there wasn't enough selenium for it to maintain its integrity.
I see. That's how you discover that cystic fibrosis is a selenium deficiency, along
That's
with
right.
muscular dystrophy
That's right.
and cardiomyopathy.
That's right. Because cardiomyopathy is the terminal event oftentimes for cystic fibrosis. If they don't die from a lung problem, pneumonia, the terminal event will be cardiomyopathy, which is muscular dystrophy of the heart muscle. In pigs, cardiomyopathy of heart disease is called Mulberry heart disease. It's known to be a selenium deficiency in pigs. And so when you start adding up all these things, selenium deficiency in pigs, which is muscular dystrophy, white muscle disease, they call it, and you find it in lambs and calves and so forth. But in pigs, for some reason, they called it Mulberry heart disease because it's a different group of people.
Right.
In calves, they call it white muscle disease. And so Keyshawn disease in Chinese kids is Mulberry heart disease in pigs, or white muscle disease in humans. And of course, cardiomyopathy heart disease is the most common terminal event for people with muscular dystrophy.
Well, when you say selenium deficiency, obviously the mineral selenium is just part of that nutritional recipe, which it needs to be combined with all the other 89.
Other 89, you're exactly right.
89 names. Anything else you want to add to about that book, Rarest Forbidden Cures? I mean, everybody should have that part of their library, and it's got some great reading material, reference back to your research with the animals versus humans, how they all interrelate with nutritional wise. Anything else you want to add to that?
Well, basically, Marvin, if you're going to be in the mineral business, you have to understand minerals. And you have to understand how they work, what they do, why they're essential, why we can't make them, why there's certain areas, for instance, around the Great Lakes is very high in thyroid problems because they don't have any iodine around the Great Lakes in the United States. If I was an endocrinologist.
So, Dr. Wiedemann, something I want to just kind of show the audience here. If you look at this, the book Rare Forbidden Cures, Chapter 11, and you look on page 380, and I want you to look at that map of the United States. Okay, look at the map of the United States. The areas in black is areas that are very low in selenium. Matter of fact, there's not enough selenium in those regions of the country in order to stay healthy reproductive capability in the ag industry. Notice around the Great Lakes area, and notice there the Ohio River between Kentucky and Iowa. I mean, Kentucky and Ohio. Notice the difference between north of the Ohio River is severely low in selenium, and south of the Ohio River is acceptable levels. And of course, Florida, the Panhandle, and the Pacific Northwest. And so this is the areas that this was back from the 1972 U.S. Department of Ag source. That's where that information came from. Now, with that said, minerals is actually, and we talked about minerals all the time. Just remember this: minerals will maximize our genetic potential. What's interesting is that if you look at the page just before that, there is a list of selenium deficient diseases. A list of selenium deficient diseases, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but you go through that list, and this is all documented and researched. And I just want to talk about some of these. For example, HIV, anemia, age spots, liver spots, fatigue, muscle weakness, muscle pain and soreness, scoliosis, muscular dystrophy, white muscle disease, and stiff limb disease, selenium deficiency symptoms. Cystic fibrosis, that's congenital, which means it's actually a congenital birth defect. The mom was not getting enough selenium during the development of the embryo. And then cardiomyopathy, and they call Keyson's disease in China, or mulberry heart disease in pigs. We talked about that. And then multiple sclerosis, MS, associated with it's associated with selenium, and heart palpitations, irregular heartbeat, liver cirrhosis, pancreatitis, pancreatic atrophy, Lou Gehrig's disease is associated with selenium deficiency disease, Parkinson's disease associated with selenium disease, Alzheimer's associated with a selenium deficiency, along with high vegetable oil consumption. And then infertility. Infertility is essential in order to, for females, in order to have healthy conception. If you have a low in selenium, it's almost impossible to conceive. Low birth weight, high infant mortality, sudden infant death syndrome, cancer associated with carcinogen contact, as well as high vegetable oil intake, and then sickle cell anemia. Those are the lists on table 11-23, selenium deficiency diseases that the scientific community, specifically the agriculture community, has put together. And remember, Dr. Wallach is a comparative pathologist. He performed autopsies on animals and humans, and he has the ability to identify and see these deficient diseases in laboratory animals as well as humans. And that's how he became the world's renowned comparative pathologist, and was actually able to prove from science that these minerals, lacking these minerals, lacks our genetic potential. Dr. Wiedemann, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm back here. I had a little issue. I couldn't get back on. So let's see here. I wanted to bring up this brochure here and see if we can see it better. Okay, let's see here. No, that's not right.
While you're doing that, I'm going to bring up that list of minerals and talk about the specific minerals that laboratory animals double and triple lifespan. Right? Getting your
I'm sorry. Do you have the brochure I sent you?
I do, but it's not. Let's see where.
Not complete.
It's not complete.
see
No.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me get this out of here. Let me do this here. Get out of there and see if I can. Let's see here. Hold on.
Let's see if I can pull it up with here. Let me pull it up with the website. Let's see.
Okay, let me download the PDF here and see if that'll appear.
Well, while you're doing that, let me continue talking about the importance of mineral deficiencies, and we'll come back to your brochure when you got that ready. How's that, Dr. Wiedemann?
Well, let's just take a look here. I'm going to share my screen here. Share screen. Okay, select a tab. Herbal rainforest. That's it. Share. There we go. How's that? Can you read that?
I cannot read that. No, it's not allowing me to. It's too fine. I can't read it.
Doc G, can you make it bigger?
I cannot. It's on your end. You have to try to through
Can
the
you
browser.
can you enlarge it by Zoom?
There's a
Dr.
plus.
Wiedemann?
See the plus right there, Doc? On top? Try the plus.
Yeah. Well,
Click on the plus. There you go. There you go. There you go. Now center it.
Center it and bring it down a little bit. You might have to bring it down a little bit.
Maybe
I'm
have
gonna
to
bring,
zoom out just a little bit.
There you
There
go.
you go. So
how's that?
all you listeners out there, listen, we're doing live, so bear with us. Okay, there we go. We can read that now. I can read it.
Okay, you want to read that?
Go ahead, Dr. Wiedemann. You go ahead and read
Okay,
it.
herbal rainforest, 77 plant-derived minerals, 16 nourishing herbs, 1 naturally balanced formula, a mango-flavored whole plant approach to everyday wellness. Is that mango flavored?
It has kind of a herbal flavor. I'm not saying specific mango, but it's actually a very pleasant taste.
Yeah, it is a very pleasant taste. I've had it many times. Herbal Rainforest brings together two of nature's most complementary categories of nutrition: a broad spectrum plant derived mineral complex and a time honored blend of 16 traditional herbs. Rather than isolating a handful of nutrients, the formula reflects a whole food philosophy, minerals and herbs working alongside one another, each supporting a different part of how the body functions day to day. Herbal Rainforest is designed as an accessible entrance level starting point for anyone new to whole food mineral supplementation. At its core, it pairs a broad mineral spectrum, basically, of nutrition with herbs traditionally used to support healthy digestion and gentle everyday elimination. A simple foundational addition to a daily routine. A formula's wider range of traditional herb and mineral pairings outlined below rounds out that foundation without overcomplicating it. Here's the mineral foundation. At the base of Herbal Rainforest, a full spectrum plant derived mineral complex, 77 minerals sourced from an ancient plant deposit delivered in a naturally water soluble liquid form. Below are the primary minerals found in each 1 fluid ounce serving. Sulfur, 377.3 milligrams, and it says it supports healthy connective tissue. What do you find in Doc's book on sulfur, Doc, or Marvin? Did I lose you?
Marvin, you're there, right?
For some reason, I can't hear you.
I can't hear him either.
Marvin, we lost you.
Somebody doesn't want this to get out tonight, Doc. That's all I can tell you.
What's going on?
We can't hear you, Marvin.
You can't hear me?
Yeah,
I
we
can
can hear you now.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay.
What was the question?
Okay, I asked about sulfur. What do you have in Doc's book on sulfur?
Well, let me look it up. Chapter 11.
That's the most plentiful mineral in there.
It is.
377.3 milligrams of sulfur.
Well, let's see what we got here. Sulfur. Sulfur is found in igneous rock at 260 parts per million, and basically comes down to it's on page 367 on Rarest Forbidden Cures. Sulfur is an important structure atom in most proteins as a sulfur amino acid, and it basically it's essential for the production of glutathione containing essential sulfur amino acid proteins. And so it's all kinds of scientific stuff about sulfur, but it is, let's see here.
Now, I just want to mention that these same minerals are also in the other mineral complexes
So
in longevity.
this is very interesting. His deficiency of sulfur results in degenerative types of arthritis involving degeneration of cartilage, ligaments, tendons, the sickle cell anemia, and various collagen diseases. So essentially, a lack of sulfur is going to affect a skeletal system.
Yeah, and the blood, you mentioned sickle cell anemia. Remember, blood is considered a hard tissue because it comes from bone marrow. So it's going to affect your blood as well. Now, zinc, 12.4 milligrams supports normal immune function. Okay.
Zinc has many functions. Matter of fact, if we have a male infertility, zinc is, especially no sperm mobility, zinc is the reason why sperm is not mobile. And so if you childless couples out there, men out there, they have got a sperm analysis with a 0 fertility score because of 0 mobility of sperm, it's because of lack of zinc. Now, zinc has many different types of diseases. And let me go back and see what.
Now, isn't a lack of zinc, a deficiency of zinc, also play a role in things like hair, lip, and cleft palate, and Down syndrome?
Down syndrome is actually, if the mother does not have enough zinc with in the first 40 hours of conception, it can increase the risk of Down syndrome exponentially. And so, yeah, it's pretty substantial difference. And zinc has a
No.
very important part.
Now, let me ask you this: Isn't it now? Didn't I hear that Dr. Wallach had supplemented somebody that had a child that was going to be Down syndrome, and supplemented a bunch of zinc and reverse that? Am I correct on that?
That is actually a very profound. That's the interview I did with Dr. Wallach. He talks about Evel Knievel. I want to say Evel Knievel, a distant family, a relative of Evel Knievel. And those of you back from the 70s remember Evel Knievel. He was a famous motorcycle guy that tried to jump the Grand Canyon with a motorcycle. And but there is a video interview on that. I don't know. I had to go look it up. But here's page 413 on Rare Earths Forbidden Cures. I'll just bring it up here real quickly here. If you can see that there is a list of minerals that are list of diseases as a result of zinc deficiency. I'll just run through this real quickly. Down syndrome, cleft palate, cleft lip, brain defects, smaller absent eyes, okay, spina bifida, club limbs, and that's when basically the feet are turned in like this, web toes and fingers. So basically you have fingers and toes have webs inside them. It's a lack of zinc. Then we also have.
If you live in an aquatic place and you need to, you do a lot of swimming, you want to be sure your wife has very little zinc.
Well,
right?
I don't. That's a little
I
bit.
don't think it quite worked out.
I don't
that way,
think
right?
we can promise a genetic engineering of an aquatic Aquaman here, Dr. Wiedemann. Are you advocating we have Aquaman with a lack of zinc?
we could start a laboratory, Marvin, and be very sinister people and manipulating the genes with these minerals, right?
Well, that's what people are doing with pharmaceuticals. We don't want to go down that path, do we?
No, we don't. We don't.
Yeah. But
Well,
anyway,
this is where I say, Marvin, that pharmaceuticals, I believe, are just counterfeit nutrition, because they have such a profound effect on our genetics, on the genes, the operation of the genes.
Mm-hmm. And there's not a single pharmaceutical that will substitute any of these minerals that you see up here: sulfur, zinc, magnesium, iron, and calcium, and chloride. Not a single pharmaceutical will replace that. And so those of you who think you're going to maximize your genetic potential because you're in all these pharmaceuticals, I've got some bad news for you. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I know too many people who have gone to their graves on dozens of pharmaceuticals. I mean, literally, I have seen people on more than 24 pharmaceuticals. How in the world can your body function on 24 or more prescription medications? Also, pharmaceuticals are blockers, inhibitors. They're toxic to the body. So please, if you're not aware of this, I mean, let's put a thinking cap on. Let's look into this. This is where I was at. I was at this place, 25, 26, 27 years, about 30 some years ago. I didn't know this stuff. I didn't even know how important, minerals were. I just thought, well, I'll just take some vitamins and some herbs. Well, I didn't realize that I was actually supplementing with less than the 90 nutrients. And as a result, in my late 30s, as a result, I had severe skeletal deterioration. I had all kinds of herniated disc, and it's in my lower back issues, upper cervical issues. And so I didn't know that I needed to supplement with all the 90 essential nutrients. Nobody told me that until I listened to the audio cassette, Dead Doctors Don't Lie. And that's what woke me up, because I remember back on the farm, we used to put those mineral blocks out for the cows.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and you don't think that maybe there are very trace amount of minerals in here, but you wouldn't think that this little mineral supplementation with these micro amounts of minerals would make much difference, but they really do.
They
I remember
absolutely do.
taking a tour of the mine, Marvin, and I remember he had this little little silver envelope about like this, full of those minerals that he was messing with when he was lecturing. And I says, "Hey, can I have that?" And he gave it to me. And I went back to my hotel room after after that night after our mine tour. And I put a whole bunch in my mouth, and boy, I went on I felt an electric charge go through me. I got on a high after that, man. I felt good all night long, from taking all those minerals. Of course, they go right into your bloodstream, right through from your mucosa of your mouth when you take those, in that format. You remember how it looks, the
Oh yeah, I actually have a part of that. I have a about a half a packet of that stuff. It's a kilo of anhydrous plant derived minerals. What they do is they take these liquid minerals. They take the liquid minerals coming out of a plant bottle like this, and all they do is they spray in a laboratory environment. They spray this in a very fine mist at a certain elevation. By the time that mist floats down onto before it hits the tarp, all the moisture's evaporated out of that liquid plant minerals, and what's left over is the mineral dust. It's a white mineral dust, kind of a yellowish dust. And
you have a little salt shaker full of that.
I do downstairs somewhere. I have to
Why don't
dig
you
it
go
up.
run get it? Go run get it.
I have no idea where it's at. It's going to take longer to
Okay.
find that thing. Next time I need to bring some of those up for these little displays next time, Dr. Wiedemann. But thanks for reminding me. I need to bring those up.
And
here.
I need to get some more of those. I
But-
need to get some.
Dr. Wiedemann, those of you who are listening, if you want to have a sample of that, just buy a bottle of mineral capsules and you open up the
Yeah, but they're
capsule up.
not.
Open up that
Yeah, but
capsule.
the-
Now, there's 400 milligrams of that anhydrous plant minerals in there, that mineral dust, and then 200 milligrams of a algae source plant mineral, a seaweed source plant mineral from Ireland. But you can kind of get the idea of the concentration of these minerals. But there's over 75 different minerals in this bottle right here alone. Over 75. And if you look around here, I mean, obviously it's not able to see that.
But all that's in there, Marvin, are also in the herbal rainforest.
Exactly. And let's talk about the herbs of the herbal rainforest. Dr. Wiedemann, can you explain us to why they added the 16 herbs elimination to the herbal rainforest?
Well, it made a very nice combination. When we start out with someone, we like to start out with digestion. Because digestion is very often, people have indigestion, and we have found that this herbal rainforest is an excellent, very mild way to start helping with the digestion, because the minerals and the herbs in here go along together. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll down here. I've got to do this. I've got to minimize that, and
While you're getting that done, let me just add a little bit about the 16 herbs elimination. The herbal rainforest was originally the natural weight loss program that Youngevity was promoting, Dr. Wallach was promoting, because those 16 herbs of elimination, what they do is they actually get the minerals in your body, but they get to have the body eliminate those calories before the calories you don't use, eliminate those before they store into your bodily tissues. Essentially, what's happening is that not only does the 16 herbs elimination a general cleanse, but also it helps you to eliminate those excess calories that you don't need.
oh wow, I didn't know that.
Absolutely.
That's excellent.
But if you look at those herbs, each function of those herbs, Cascara sagrada, if I remember correctly, is one of those herbs. That's why they put those 16 herbs of elimination in there, is to help eliminate those excess calories that we bring in that we don't need. And so a lot of people do you have a weight loss program? Well, yeah, we have the basic 90 nutrients. You take that, you don't have those cravings, you don't eat as much. But what about if I just like to eat? And, then substitute the herbal rainforest for your minerals. And that's basically what it was designed for. We can
Marvin,
actually.
I have lost track of. I've lost track of you here. I can't find on my browser. Can't find anything here.
What are you trying?
Can't find the link I can't find the link to it. I'm going to have to do what I did before. I had to shut it down and bring it back up. This is so aggravating to
What
have to go
happened,
through
Doc?
this, but I'm going to have to do it. So. Yeah, I can't find my controls here where the StreamYard
Hey,
is and stuff like that.
Dr. Wiedemann, why don't you just email me that
It's like
PDF
I
file
lost
and
it off of my.
I'll put it up on my end. Just email me that PDF file.
Okay, I can do that.
Let's do that.
I'll do that. Let me shut down here and do a restart. Okay.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm gonna keep talking about these minerals. How's that? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Hey, as all you listeners out there, you're probably looking at what are these rednecks trying to do here, you know? And that's exactly what this is. This is a redneck show. This is a bunch of, Dr. Wiedemann and I, we've been all around in all the farmland and things like that. And you don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand this stuff. You really don't. If you have a 5th grade education, you can read. This stuff makes sense. And I can begin to tell you, my daughter Abigail, she's 19 now. When she was in the 6th grade, she did a science fair project on these minerals. And we used these plants to demonstrate the difference between with minerals and without minerals. And she got 1st place. She earned 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. That was 4 years that she got either the 1st or 2nd place in her science fair project. Went on to the Junior Ritchie. Those of you who are familiar with science fair projects in high school, Junior Ritchie is actually a regional competition for these science fair projects. And if you take the top 3 of that, you're invited to go to the Broadcom Masters. The Broadcom Masters is actually the national science fair competition, and these kids who are invited to go apply to the Broadcom Masters, they select 300 of these children to go to Washington, D.C. Out of those 300, they select 30 winners. And so just to get into the Broadcom Masters is quite an accomplishment. And so she was able to do that with under the category of botany. Botany is actually the study and understanding of plants. Now, think of it this way. Those of you who are listening out there, plants, animals, and humans, their genetic potential is limited to the mineral that's least in your diet. For example, the law of minimum says that a plant's genetic potential is limited to the mineral, the nutrients at least in the soil. Now, for animal or human, we have three other categories of nutrients. We have the essential fatty acids. We have the vitamins and amino acids that add to the basic 90. So the basic 90, I'm going to bring that up real quick here, just as we're going to talk about that. For those of you who are not familiar with the basic 90, I'd like to just share that with you and help you understand just the importance of these minerals. And let's see here. Okay, what did I do with that? I know where I got it. I got to come over here into my... There we go. Doc G, can you see that list of 90 nutrients? Okay. Mm-hmm. So, and those of you have probably seen, some of you have seen this before, but I want to just drop back. And we were talking about, when Dr. Wallach was talking about those laboratory animals, double and triple the lifespan, well, the minerals in red up here, those are the ones they were talking about. That's in chapter 11 of Rarest Forbidden Cures. And then, so plants' genetic potential is limited to the mineral that's least in the soil. That's the 60-some minerals that we are listed here. But there are 75 minerals, 75 to 77 minerals in the crust of the earth. And so when you gardeners out there, if you really want to play around with this stuff and see if it really works, and it only takes about 3-4 weeks to see the results of this stuff, get yourself some potting soil from Lowe's or Home Depot, and get yourself your favorite outdoor plants or indoor plants, and put them in there. Make sure you got enough sunlight. Have plenty of sunlight. Plants love sunlight, and do your own experiment. You will see results.
Okay, Marvin, I sent it to you.
3 to 4 days. So, Dr. Wiedemann, you want to go ahead and, let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. And then once you pick up and continue with your subject, I'll bring that other document up, Dr. Wiedemann.
Well, let's see what you get when you see if you can bring that up.
Okay. You're going to have to bear with me here.
That's all right. I apologize, everybody, for, losing track. I mean, it's I try to maintain control here, and it just disappears completely off my screen. I can't find how to get into the
Are you
controls
using
again.
Mac, Dr. William? Are you using Mac or PC?
PC.
Oh, that's why.
I don't have the screen
That's
on
why.
my Mac anymore. I mean, it's a wonderful world, isn't it?
Oh, I tell you. Okay, here we go. We are gonna bring this up, and we're gonna go back into. Yeah, we're gonna go back into. Let me do this. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and bingo. Here we go. Share. And how's that look? Does that look like something we can use? Can you see it?
Yeah, it needs to be a little bigger. You have
Okay.
to increase this
We will
size
increase this
a little bit more, and that'll be fine right there.
Right there?
That's great. Yeah,
And
that's
then
good.
I'll scroll down. Now I can't see the screen on my end, so you have to tell me what where I need to scroll, all that stuff.
Okay, what you got is you got the sulfur up there at 377 point, and this is why I think that the mineral in general kind of have an astringent taste to it, is because of all the sulfur.
Yeah.
Because there's but sulfur is a very important one to have. And then there's aluminum, 46.563 milligrams.
Now,
and
some of you may,
nat-
let's talk about aluminum, Dr. Wiedemann, because a lot of you have been told aluminum is toxic. And why is that, Dr. Wiedemann?
Well, that's because it's in metallic format. It's not in a plant-derived form. A lot of, for instance, if you're trying to avoid aluminum, well, then don't eat bananas anymore, because bananas have a lot of aluminum in them.
So does broccoli.
Yeah, broccoli, you don't stop to think that there's metal in there.
Well, if you think about it,
zinc is a cofactor for the immune system.
Mhm.
Nitrogen, it's an amino acid binder, a protein building block. Magnesium, muscle, nerve, enzyme cofactor. Iron, oxygen transport, hemoglobin. Calcium, bone, muscle, nerve signaling. Chloride, it's an electrolyte balancer, and it's also involved in digestion because of the hydrochloric acid. Silicon, connective tissue support. Sodium, electrolyte fluid balance. Manganese, enzyme cofactor. Potassium, electrolyte fluid balancer.
Dr.
Lithium.
Wiedemann, let's talk about sodium just for a second, because I want to expand a little bit on sodium, because sodium is in what mineral that we have on the kitchen table.
Salt.
And what is sodium?
Sodium chloride.
And what
But
is that?
sodium is involved in nerve conduction.
Well,
it's involved in nerve conduction. And when it splits up, it splits when it goes in your tummy, and the chlorine goes to help make hydrochloric acid, and the sodium is used by the nerves. Your nerve conduction it's called a sodium pump. All your nerve conduction has to do with the sodium. And
so when
manganese.
when doctors tell us to stop using salt, what is happening to our biochemistry in our body?
Well, for one thing, when you are deficient in salt, then you can't form the stomach acid that you need.
That's right. Critical.
Because that actually is the activator. There's a whole bunch of there are digestive enzymes that come into the stomach. I forget what Dr. Wallach calls them, but they combine with the work with the hydrochloric acid in breaking down proteins. Actually, there's three things that get broken down in the stomach, partly. Now, they're not completely broken down, because when it moves into the duodenum, that kind of finishes the task. But proteins are the main thing that get broken down, and carbohydrates. And then you get into the duodenum, and then you have pancreatic lipase in there, which helps break down fats. You also have bile that comes from the liver through the gallbladder duct that also helps break down fat into small globules so that it can be absorbed, and from the small intestine it goes to the liver. Okay, but there's lots and lots of things that happen here. We want to just go through the list here. Let's see here. The lithium. Now lithium, there's not very much that comes into here, but people that are bipolar are given lithium to help control the bipolar. Now I don't know what format they're giving it into them. This is plant derived, and so it goes into your system, and your body uses it on a micro level. And then there's boron. Do you remember Dr. Wallach saying if a man is low on boron that he won't know whether to follow or lead on the dance floor?
Yeah.
So it has to do with a man's libido. It has to do with testosterone production. Cobalt. Do you remember what cobalt is for? I forget what Dr. Wallach says cobalt's for.
I don't recall off my hand what cobalt's for, but let me look it up. See if I can find it. Okay. And those of you who are listening, Chapter 11, Rare Forbidden Cures, will go through every one of these and explain to them in detail what the essential nutrients are for. And it gives you all this scientific evidence. It's just phenomenal. Okay, where's cobalt at? Cobalt. Wow, that's a whole bunch of stuff in here. It's required for it's an intrinsic factor for B12, intrinsic factor.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And it actually forms a part of B12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very important. And the part of that biochemistry of cobalt. And let's see here. I'm just going to in humans, if failure to absorb a B12, cobalt results in deficiency disease. So in other words, if somebody cannot utilize B12 and lacking in cobalt, okay, this can result from a surgical removal of parts of the stomach, or surgery removal of I don't even know how to pronounce that. That's a small bowel, a small intestine.
Oh, ileum, the ileum.
Yeah. So, when doctors start removing your organs, they don't really realize the catastrophic long-term side effects of this. And so I always tell people, do not let a doctor remove organs. You can actually restore, repair, and rebuild that failed compromised organ. Just like Dr. Wiedemann, if you give the body what it needs, what will it do?
Do marvelous things. Well, one thing I have to say, Marvin, is that sometimes doctors don't have a choice. If there's a disease process in there that's rapidly growing or something like that, you have to take it out. But you're left with a problem of deficiency disease after that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can you look up vanadium for me in there? And
vanadium?
And look up vanadium first and read what it says, and then chromium.
Chromium, okay, let's go to vanadium here. Vanadium, there's a whole list of things here.
Well, here's this thing we have up on screen right now. There's quite a few things that that's kind of the, and I haven't fleshed this completely out here. I'm not done with this. I'm going to be editing this more. And
so clinical disease associated with vanadium deficiency include slow growth, increased infant mortality, infertility, elevated cholesterol, elevated triglycerides, hyperglycemia, hyperinsulinemia, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and obesity. Those are some of the diseases linked to a lack of vanadium. And what's
so vanadium is really important.
It's critical. Now, just remember, you can't just take vanadium by itself. It has to be combined with all the other 89 nutrients. Critical.
Well, one thing about it, Marvin, isn't this kind of aren't these minerals kind of like helping? I mean, I think that there's a law minimum in the body too, where if you don't have certain minerals even present, you're not going to function like you should.
Well, it's kind of like this, Dr. Wiedemann. I grew up in the as a young man, do some basic carpentry skills. You've got your square, your level, and you got your nails and your hammer. You're not going to get very far building a little doghouse if you don't have a hammer, do you?
That's right.
So
and some, also here it's like you're scrounging around in the box trying to find a finishing nail, and you only need one, and you kind of look through it and you find, oh, there's a finishing nail, and you use it. Well, that's what the body does. It's looking around, trying to take care of yourself, and if those things aren't present, it can't finish its job. And so, but we have some very important ones here: boron, cobalt, germanium, copper, chromium, vanadium, iodine, selenium, molybdenum. Selenium is very important for the body. Vanadium, it has to do with blood sugar control. Chromium has to do with blood sugar control. Copper has to do with the integrity of your cell walls, of your blood vessel walls. If you have things like varicose veins, because you have a copper deficiency. Okay, go ahead and scroll down here a little bit here.
And then
the remaining elements.
Something I want to add to Dr. Wiedemann, I don't want to interrupt here, but something is very important to understand. If you have a copper deficiency, and varicose veins is nothing more than the physical manifestation of an aneurysm. That's all that is. And if you have varicose veins, you will have at high risk of having aneurysm. You could have it in the brain. You could have in the aortic artery. And so my point is this: a lot of these professional athletes are running around, and they are severely nutritionally deficient, especially in the copper, and they have what they call a ruptured aortic artery because of a lack of copper in their diet. Now, you can't just take copper by itself, but copper is essential in preventing aneurysms.
Right. Okay, and so the remaining elements of the 77 mineral profile, including rare earth elements such as yttrium, cesium, neodymium, lanthanum, along with elements like titanium, strontium, zirconium, and others, are present at microgram to nanogram levels. These occur naturally in the source of humic shale deposit rather than being individually added, and most do not have established essential biological function in human nutrition. Their presence is disclosed on the certified lab analysis in the interest of transparency consistent with the product's natural living product labeling. But that doesn't mean they aren't necessary. Okay.
And Dr. Walliger said, Marvin, we have discovered 60 minerals are essential that the body cannot produce. The other ones, science just has not come up with the facts to prove that certain minerals are essential. And, I'm sure we will, as, with the event of all the scientific studies and things like that we have, I'm sure they'll find these other rare earths that we haven't listed are going to be essential for cofactors of some other mineral.
Okay. So here's the 16 herb blend, the chamomile flower. It's a digestive relaxant and mild calmative. Echinacea is traditional immune support. That's one that I've heard for years. People say, I take echinacea. Sarsaparilla root, traditional blood purifier and skin support. Golden seal, digestive. It's a digestive bitter. Mucous membrane support. Are you familiar with what bitters are, Marvin?
Well, bitters is like your like wormwood. It would be considered a bitter tea, a bitter herb.
Yeah. Well, bitters used to be produced in the old days, and they found a side wheeler steamboat buried where the Missouri River had drifted away from where it was. It was in a cornfield. And these guys had some type of deal that detected it. Was a proton accelerator that they had detected this under the earth. And they got the farmers permission to dig down and uncover it. And they found it was like a general store. It was headed for the mountains, but it got caught on a sawyer, which is a snag. It was a root or something that was in the bottom of the river, and it sunk the boat. And, it just, I don't know if people survived or not, but this whole boat went down and got covered up as the river drifted away. It got all covered up and encased in mud, which sealed it all off, the oxygen. And when they uncovered it, they found tremendous. It was called the Arabia, was the name of the boat. You look it up online, and it'll show you the beautiful pickles and cherries. And they actually have a museum down there in St. Louis, apparently, where you can actually go see all the stuff that was in this boat. I mean, canned cherries, canned pickles, canned all kinds of stuff. Implements that they were taking out west. Beautiful stuff, that we would buy today if it was on the shelf. And, but anyway, it had bitters in it, a lot of bitters. So apparently bitters were used this was before pharmaceuticals. So bitters were used very often in the frontier years as, and that would be better than what we're using today, what people are using today. So that's why, the term bitters came up here, golden seal being a digestive bitter, mucous membrane support. Celery seed, mild diuretic, joint comfort. Alfalfa, it's a general mineral dense nutritive tonic. Alfalfa has deep roots, and they are able to reach areas in the soil that are mineral rich.
Absolutely.
Alfalfa roots go down. Sometimes they're down 12 or 13 feet, aren't they?
Oh, they're down 20, 30 feet.
20 or 30, yeah, okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I know that they go pretty deep. So they're able to, it's kind of like a pear tree. They're able to reach really deep. Dandelion root, liver and bile stimulant. Okay, Euthenero root, adaptogen, stress resilience. Horehound root, traditional respiratory expectorant support. Licorice root, throat soothing, adrenal support. Ginkgo biloba. You want to tell me about ginkgo biloba? What do you know about Marvin?
Well, I know my mom always talked about ginkgo biloba. It helps with brain function,
With what?
Well, it helps with, be able to cognitive recall things. Ginkgo biloba was a big thing in herbalists to help people stay focused and be able to concentrate.
Okay. And passion flower, calming, sleep support. Thyme, respiratory support. This is a big one. Thyme really does help with breathing support, especially if you use it in essential oils.
Absolutely.
I was having productive cough for over a long period of time, and Marvin, just after the other, like 2 or 3 months ago, I think you mentioned about thymol and clove bud and cinnamon. And so I happened to have those three, and I started using it. Cough went away, overnight. And if I ever start having it again, I start using it again, and it goes away. Just a tremendous support for what we call catarrh, I guess you would call it, wouldn't you?
Well, the thing about a lot of people don't realize they have a dry heave, right? And that dry heave is because the lungs are itchy and ticklish. And so what happens is that these essential oils, what they do is they help suppress that the dry heaving from developing, because when you dry heave, you put trauma onto your lung tissues. It makes just things worse. It develops into what do you call that? A respiratory problem. I can't think of it right now.
Now, we're not advocating that this is a cure for anything. We're not holding this. I'm just talking about my personal experience, and what we can do as natural remedies, not as as a medical treatment of any kind.
Yeah. Well, you know, Dr. Wiedemann, a lot of this stuff we learned from the Native Americans. The Native Americans were the best herbalists that the colonies ever came across. When you listen to the medicine man knew more about those herbs than any medical doctor out there. Matter of fact, a lot of natural doctors, naturopaths, and homeopathy, they got their information from the medicine man, the Native Americans.
Well, I'll tell you what, Marvin, I have 2 books. One of them's called Let's Play Herbal Doctor by Dr. Joel Wallach.
Mm-hmm.
And he really did his homework on that one, believe me. Because I got another book from Native American herb book, and it's almost identical all the way through. So it's like, it wasn't plagiarized, but you can see how closely Dr. Wallach's work was to what the Native Americans are.
Absolutely.
Okay, passion flower, calming, sleep support, thyme, respiratory support, volatile oil compounds, saw palmetto berries, prostate, urinary support in men. So, and then angelica root, digestive bitter, and it's a calmative, and Cascara saganda, bowel motility support. Okay. Now,
and that's something that the herbal rainforest does help. If you have constipation problems, it is going to loosen your bowels.
Yeah. So all these things, what I'm doing is making this up. I'm having Marvin, compare it with the Let's Play Herbal, or Let's Play, the Rare Earths Forbidden Cures, so that we get all the minerals nailed down the way Dr. Wallach's research shows. But here's how the herbs and minerals relate. Don't scroll back up here. Right there. The pairings below identify traditional herbal use and an established mineral function occupy the same physiological territory. E.g., both relate to digestion, both relate to immune function, both relate to connective tissue. This is a functional category comparison, not a claim that the herb increases mineral absorption or that the mineral causes the herb's traditional effect. Okay, so we've just done a side-by-side comparison here. Chamomile flower, it's related to the mineral magnesium and calcium. Both minerals are established cofactors in normal muscle and nerve signaling. Chamomile's traditional calming use tracks the same physiological territory. Echinacea, zinc, selenium, and copper. These 3 trace minerals are the ones most commonly consistently studied in relation to immune cell function. Sarsaparilla root, silicon and sulfur. Sulfur is structurally central to skin and connective tissue. Keratin cross-linking sarsaparilla traditional skin reputation overlaps this role. Golden seal, zinc and manganese. Manganese is a cofactor for several digestive enzymes. Zinc supports mucosal tissue integrity. So you can see the length of study that Dr. Wallach did in putting, actually it wasn't just Dr. Wallach, it was also Dr. Dirt.
Richard Renton. And
yeah, Richard.
You know what, Dr. Wallach, and his infinite wisdom, he's really good at doing research. And what he's done is that some of this he's done himself, but he's also given credit where credit is due. And he references research in the footnotes of his book and goes back and gives credit to the original author of the discovery of these great scientific discoveries.
Yeah. Okay, golden seal, zinc and manganese. Mucosal tissue integrity. Okay, so you can see what this stuff is doing to your body when you intake this. Celery seed, sodium, potassium, silicon. Celery seed in itself is a naturally electrolyte rich, a reinforcing rather than novel pairing. Okay, so alfalfa, broad spectrum, boron, iron, manganese, etc. Deep-rooted and naturally mineral-dense functionality restates the same nutritional thesis as the PDM complex itself, plant-derived minerals complex itself. Dandelion root, iron, potassium. Traditional liver herbs are frequently discussed alongside iron, given the liver's central role in iron storage metabolism. Ulothuro root, chromium and manganese. Chromium is associated with blood sugar and energy metabolism, relevant to an adaptogen position for stamina. Horehound root, sulfur. Sulfur compounds appear commonly across traditional respiratory support botanicals. Licorice root, sodium and potassium. Note, glycyrrhizum licorice is documented to promote sodium retention and potassium loss at higher doses. A caution point, not only a synergy for anyone with blood pressure concern. Okay. Ginkgo biloba, iron, manganese, and zinc. These trace minerals are tied to oxygen transport and antioxidant enzyme systems, mechanistically adjacent to regulatory cognitive claims. Passion flower, magnesium. The same magnesium linkage as chamomile reinforces the calming herb magnesium pattern. Thyme, manganese and iron. General enzyme cofactor overlaps thyme and contributes trace minerals of its own. Saw palmetto, zinc and selenium. Zinc is the most studied mineral in relation to prostate tissue, a well-established traditional pairing. And so is selenium, by the way. Selenium is really important for prostate.
And something else that I discovered is I had to go back and look at that where Dr. Warlock talked about this, but if it's critical that a young man going into adolescence, if he's lacking in zinc, it's underdevelopment of his testes.
Oh, really?
You bet. And so that's something else that I've learned from Dr. Wallach is that if you want your men, your boys to develop into the full manhood that they do, the full genetic potential of their manhood, they need the 90 essential nutrients with some additional zinc. And I can tell you, it is a huge issue with a lot of these young men. And something else is that if you don't, and I learned this a long time ago as a young kid, and it was in one of the hunting magazines. And if you have body odor, it's because of lack of zinc. And so we would eat before the hunting season back in the Midwest. We would just eat zinc tablets like candy because we were trying to eliminate the body odor. Because deer hunting, those deer have a good smell, and we found it works excellent. Now we didn't realize why the biochemistry of the body. We didn't understand the biochemistry behind lacking zinc. We just knew that body odor is one of the physical manifestations of lack of zinc.
Well, Marvin, I just discovered that the pharmaceutical industry is, and along with the medical industrial complex, is giving mothers a medication to prevent premature, in other words, when they lose a child,
Are you talking about a premature birth, stillborn?
Yeah. They're giving them this medication, and it's like 3 milligrams are what they use to chemically castrate a full-size male, and they're giving this to women. And 77% of the children coming out of them have transgender, they have dysphoria as far as, gender dysphoria and all that kind of stuff. And those kids will never have any kids because they've been chemically castrated. I mean, they're giving way bigger amounts than what it takes to chemically castrate a full-size male.
Yeah.
And that's the stupidity of using medicine to, pharmaceutical medicines to try to cause anything to go better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Dr. Wiedemann,
go ahead.
we may have to pick this up next week because we're 5 minutes over our time. Do you want to just finish up real quickly about the brochure? Then we'll have to pick it up next week.
Yeah. Anybody that would like to have a brochure, you can email me at healthreform90@gmail.com, or you can text me at 406-270-3754, and we will have this ready this next week. I'll be talking with Marvin about this, and we'll be talking about the potential benefits of the combined minerals with these herbs. It's a tremendous thing. I'm ordering some this month, Marvin. I'm going to have that in my order. I've had it before, but after going through this like I did, it was a whim. I started wondering about it, and it was like the Lord, I think, brought me to study into more depth on this, and it's just a tremendous, tremendous thing. And we'll have this brochure ready. I may, if you want a copy of it, let me know, and I'll email it to you. And once it's ready, and we'll go from there. So I want to close tonight. Doc G, do you have any closing thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are always the same, guys. These two gentlemen here know exactly what they're talking about, and unfortunately, a lot of us don't. And I take these guys like they really know what they're talking about, and just do what they think you should do. Go for these supplements. Go for longevity, because it's probably one of the best things on earth right now. It's everything in one. That's what I love about it.
And
Good.
if those of you who are curious and you want to learn how to connect the dots, some of you just want to know, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Some of you want to kind of like, well, how does this work? That's kind of like me. And, Dr. Wiedemann, you had a chance of kind of digging in here and see the value of, you think about it, the more you understand the body and how it works, you'll recognize the symptoms of when it doesn't work so much easier. And Dr. Wiedemann, when you close up, let people know how you can get a hold of you.
Yeah. 406-270-3754. Please text me before you call, because I don't answer every call unless I have a text message to tell me who it is. And one of the things I would like to close with tonight, it's really important that all of you remember, there's a lot of people out there selling things to you. They're promising cures. The only three people that you can really trust when it comes to claiming to cure are the butcher, the tanner, and the tobacco farmer. Right?
Oh, that's
Marvin,
so true.
you've known butchers in your life, haven't you?
I have grown up on a farm. We slaughtered on pigs, cows, lambs.
Did you cure any of the meat?
Yeah, I did. I tried to. When I was like 12 years old, I told my mom I was going to smoke some hams and bacons. And so it's okay. So we had the outhouse, right? So I put a 55-gallon barrel into the outhouse, and I put some wood hickory smoke in there. And I thought it was just nice smoldering. And I hung up the hams and everything like that in the outhouse. And it came back about 3 hours later. And I had plenty of smoked hams, so they got so hot in there that they came off the hooks and fell into the fire, and they were cooked hams by the time. And so we pulled them out of it, and we trimmed off the charred meat. And man, I tell you what, that was the best smoked ham I ever had in my life. We had about 6 or 7, 8. We had 8 hams, I think. We slaughtered 4 pigs, 8 hams, and 4 or 5 of those fell into the fire. And
so Marvin, you started curing things very early in life.
Well, I experiment, trial and error. How many kids have the opportunity to smoke a ham and bacon in their outhouse?
Yeah. Yeah. And did you ever tan any hides?
Yes, I did. I tanned.
So you cured something there, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I actually had a chance to tan some deer hides, and I used to run a trap line. And so I would catch stray cats in my trap line. Well, guess what? I didn't. I would eliminate. I would I would take the cats. Of course, we would. They were dead by the time we got them because they were in a killer traps, right? But I'd skin them, and I would use the skin, and I would tan them just to learn how to tan hides. And I tell you what, those cat hides were just, excellent little. I think I still have some back home somewhere. But squirrel hides and rabbit hides. I did some rabbit. I did some white-tail deer, and I had some trial and error. But I just had a great time learning this stuff.
So you cured some things there too, didn't you? You cured
I did.
some
I did
hides,
some tanning.
right?
Yep.
Did you ever cure any tobacco?
No, but I've seen back in Kentucky when my grandparents lived, they had all these tobacco barns out there. They would hang the tobacco up, you know. But I tell you what, those of you who don't know this, but tobacco, I would never want to be a tobacco farmer because that's some nasty, nasty work. You got to cut that stuff, and that tobacco juice is sticky and nasty. I mean, it's like glue. And I was like, I don't know how these guys do it, but they sure, you know, there's a lot of money in tobacco, but they had to cut it by hand with a machete, and then they had to hang it up in the barn, and then they had to cure it. And so, yeah, I've seen it done. I've never did it. I never actually.
Okay, so you're very familiar with what I'm saying. The only three people that can really claim to cure are the butcher, the tanner, and the tobacco farmer.
Yeah, that's. I'm not arguing that at
So
all.
Marvin is really almost a cure-all. He's cured.
No, I'm not
he's
making
cured
that
meats.
statement. I'm not making that claim.
He's cured meats, and he's cured hides, and he's watched his grandpa cure tobacco leaves. So he's a
Well,
cure-all.
Let me correct that. My grandpa was not a tobacco farmer, but the community he lived in, there was tobacco
okay.
farms.
I
wanna
take
correct
that. I
you.
stand corrected.
Okay. But yeah, you could say that. Anyway, we had a great time tonight, guys. I know some of the stuff might be a little bit over your heads, but that's okay. If something here we talked about tonight resonates with you, please get back with Dr. Wiedemann, and we would love to be able to answer some of your questions. And this is a journey. These podcasts we're doing, we're talking about information that most people will never hear in their lifetime, and we're trying to get this information out to you. So invite your friends, your family, uncles and aunts, and grandma and grandpas, and say, look, you know, these rednecks are this doctor and this redneck from Missouri. You know, actually, I grew up in Jesse James country, so I can call myself a show me redneck from Jesse James country, right? And so I have some roots there. But with that said, we'd love to see you next week. And Dr. Wiedemann, anything else you want to pass on before we hang out?
I just want to know how quick on the draw you are.
Well, I can tell you right now, with my MP5 and Jesse James Colt revolver, I don't think Jesse James would win. I'm a Navy SEAL, hundreds of hours of kill house training. I'm sorry, but Jesse James would not rob my bank.
Yep, that's right. That's right. But you might have been a good Jesse James, though.
Well,
with your training.
I'm not going to comment on that. Those thoughts have gone. I ran down that rabbit trail before. Okay.
Well, that railroad is gone. That was through that town. Marvin showed me the bank that Jesse James first robbed, and it's still there.
It's
the
one of the
railroad is
banks.
gone.
One of the banks Jesse James robbed.
Yeah, one of the banks. Yeah,
So one of the banks.
Was it the first one?
No, that was not. It was one of the banks that Jesse James robbed back in Jamesport, Missouri, the Homeless Change Bank. So if you're in Jamesport, Missouri, Kathy, I know you're listening to us, and you know where the Homeless Change Bank is in Jamesport, Missouri. That is the same building that Jesse James walked in and robbed the bank. And it was written up back in the 70s about how Jesse James robbed that bank. And I remember our neighbor, Herb Miller. He lived about 3 miles from we did, and he would walk by our place. This is back in the 60s. This man was 70 years old and 90 years old. He remembers of Jesse James and Cole Younger gang. He says, Marvin says, there's a little meadow behind my house there and a beautiful creek and a little dugout, and that's Jesse James and his boys would hang out there. And I said, well, you know what? When I was like 8 or 9 years old, I hiked back there, and sure enough, I found that meadow, beautiful meadow, and a creek running through year round, and there was that dugout. I'm not kidding. That dugout was still there. And
well, Marvin, next time I'm down there, you're going to have to show me that dugout.
Well, the dugout has been collapsed now, but I actually had a chance to go into that dugout and say, "Wow, this is where Jesse James used to hang out."
Cool. That is too cool.
So, I got all kinds of little stories like that from the Midwest, growing up in the country, you know.
Well, guys, I got to go.
You got to go.
Thank you.
Okay, Doc G. Thanks for your help. Your time.
Bye, everybody. See you next week.